We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Will Durant. Hey, warrior, don't wait another day to start your transformation. There is no perfect moment, and no one is coming to save you except yourself. If there is a battle truly worth fighting, it is the silent daily struggle against procrastination, against the comfort zone, and against the fear of being mediocre. You are not alone, because even great figures like Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus once drowned in chaos, facing the same all-too-human weaknesses. But they understood this. Discipline and self-mastery are not just beautiful slogans, but the very foundation for survival and growth in life's storms. You already know what you should do. The issue is not knowledge, but whether you have enough courage to begin and enough discipline to persist to the end. Strength is not a destination, but a constant negotiation between the person you were yesterday and the person you long to become. Self-mastery is true freedom. Wealth or safety become meaningless if you cannot control yourself. Below are 10 practices, psychological weapons, to help you fight distraction, weakness, and wasted potential. Pay close attention to each part, because every practice is an essential weapon on the journey to becoming a disciplined warrior with true inner strength. Don't seek to go viral, seek transformation. And if you are truly ready, write down what you commit to mastering today and leave a comment. I am the master of myself, before moving on to the first practice. Number 1, work on your discipline every day. Have you ever wondered why there are days when you are determined to change, but just a week later, everything reverts back to square one? I have too. I remember those winter mornings when the alarm clock went off, and I knew I should get out of bed, yet my body pleaded for just 5 more minutes. I kept telling myself, tomorrow I'll try harder. But that tomorrow repeated itself endlessly and never arrived. It wasn't because I lacked knowledge, nor was it because I didn't have goals. It was because I lacked discipline. Discipline, I realized, is not something glamorous. No one will applaud you for it. It is the silent conversation every morning between the weaker version of yourself that craves comfort and the mature version that knows success only comes from consistent action. I learned a profound lesson. Your greatest enemy is not the outside world, but procrastination, self-compromise, and the endless debates in your mind. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Don't argue with your weaker self. Just get up, step out of bed, and start your day on time. Discipline is a form of self-love and self-respect. It is keeping those small promises to yourself every day, from waking up early, exercising, completing work on time, to saying no to social media, fast food, or meaningless conversations. Every time you keep a small promise, you are laying a brick for your character and your destiny. Gradually, you'll realize that discipline is no longer a tense battle, but becomes a natural habit. Like a flowing river, you no longer struggle to start over, because you have become someone steadfast. Discipline is also the art of saying no to temptations, to easy invitations, to toxic people, or fleeting interests that pull you away from your goals. Every time you say no to what's unnecessary, you are saying yes to your own strength and inner freedom. I used to think that success was luck, talent, or intelligence. But the more I experience, the more I see that true success is simply the result of hundreds, thousands of small, disciplined choices. You will never regret being disciplined. You only regret being lazy. Ultimately, self-control is the greatest freedom. If you can control yourself, nothing out there can shake you. Every morning, overcome the urge to rest and act in accordance with your responsibility and your role as a human being. Do what is right, not what is easy. Discipline doesn't promise you instant prominence, but it guarantees you will no longer be led by your past, your circumstances, or your emotions. Today, what will you choose to truly master? Don't just say it. Start with the smallest action, and let each passing day be a testament to your own strength. Number 2, work on your mind every day. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I work so hard, take care of my health, and strive to build my image, yet in the end still feel lost and insecure? Perhaps it's because we often forget one fundamental truth. The mind is the most important empire each person possesses. You can train your body to be strong, but if your mind is weak, your entire inner world will quickly descend into chaos. It's not just a sense of being lost, it's a gradual erosion of your confidence, your willpower, and your peace. We are living in an era where every day our minds are besieged by worries, comparisons, the negativity of social media, and the pressure to succeed. Every thought, every belief, no matter how small, slowly shapes your reality, just as Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." You may be able to control your appearance or your material possessions, but only your mind is truly within your grasp. When you master your mind, you will live with peace, strength, and clarity, even when storms rage outside. Imagine this: a person who cannot control their own thoughts becomes a victim of everything around them: bad news, criticism, failure, pressure. But if, every day, you dedicate time to train your mind by reading, reflecting, or journaling your emotions, you'll find yourself growing stronger little by little. You'll learn to shift your questions from "Why is this happening to me?" to "What is this teaching me?" You'll gradually feel grateful even for difficulties, for they are the materials that forge wisdom and resilience. A study by psychologist Roy Baumeister, 1998, showed that people who discipline their thoughts are better equipped to face and overcome stress. They don't let negative emotions control their actions, and as a result, they remain calm and decisive, even under intense pressure. The mind needs daily nourishment, just as the body needs regular exercise. You can start by spending 10 minutes each morning in silence, simply observing your thoughts, or practicing negative visualization in the Stoic tradition. Imagine a day when you lose what you treasure most, so that you learn to cherish the present, so that when loss comes, you no longer panic, but face it with serenity. Finally, always remind yourself, the mind is power. I master it every day. The outside world is always changing, but when your inner world is strong enough, nothing can bring you down. Training your mind is not a journey with a final destination. It is an ongoing commitment, a promise to yourself. Every day I will become stronger in thought and more peaceful in soul. Number 3, work on your purpose every day. Have you ever asked yourself, what am I living for? Or do you simply repeat the same days, swept along by work, responsibilities, and the goals set by society? I once witnessed a friend of mine, named Logan, live this way for many years. Logan is an American man in his 30s, successful in appearance with a stable job, yet he always felt empty inside. Every morning, he woke up early, brushed his teeth, made coffee, and plunged straight into the whirlwind of work, dealing with urgent matters, endless emails. Outwardly, everything seemed orderly, but inside, Logan always felt like he was drifting, like a boat floating aimlessly in the vast ocean, unsure of its direction. I asked Logan, "What do you live for?" He hesitated, not because he didn't know the answer, but because he had never truly thought about it. Like so many others, Logan believed that the purpose of life was to earn more money, to be recognized, to climb higher on the career ladder. Yet the more he chased those things, the more estranged he became from himself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the value of a person does not lie in possessions or fame, but in the greatness of the purpose they nurture. Purpose isn't just something to admire from afar. It's a quiet power within, the reason you endure, persevere, and strive forward every single day. There were days when Logan did everything simply because he was used to it, living like a machine, emotionless, unchallenged, just hoping the day would pass quickly. But the more he lived like this, the more he recognized the difference between living on autopilot and living with purpose. Someone who lives on autopilot easily loses themselves, while a Stoic will ask, "Does what I'm doing today make me stronger, kinder, closer to the person I want to become?" There's not always a perfect answer, but as long as you dare to ask, you are already different. You don't need to know your entire life plan. Sometimes just knowing that your next step is meaningful is enough. Logan began to change by asking himself each morning, what truly matters today? He spent time on projects he loved, wrote, reconnected with old friends, and above all, dared to face his fear of failure. Logan realized that difficulties and challenges are not enemies, but the greatest teachers, helping him clarify what is truly meaningful. If you're feeling tired or lost, take action. Don't wait for inspiration, and don't be afraid of failure. Every day is an opportunity to move closer to your life's purpose, even if it's just a small step. When you live with purpose, you no longer work to be recognized, but to feel whole and fulfilled within. Nurturing your purpose is like tending a small flame. It requires patience, protection, and daily care. One day, you'll look back and feel grateful to yourself for never giving up. Close your eyes and affirm to yourself, "I live with purpose and clear direction," because that is what will help you overcome every challenge, turn suffering into strength, and reach true fulfillment. And if you think living with purpose is the hardest thing, just wait until we explore the next habit together. You'll realize that sometimes simply learning patience already brings you closer to your greatest goals in life. Number 4, work on your patience every day. Imagine yourself planting an oak tree in barren, rocky soil. You sow the seed and carefully nurture it with every drop of water. Yet day after day, all you see is a tiny green sprout, no different from the weeds along the roadside. In those moments, what keeps you going is not instant results, but patience. You know that beneath the surface, roots are pushing deep, quietly preparing for resilient growth, even if the world cannot see it. This is also the story of each of us in this fast-paced society where everyone wants everything right away: success, happiness, healing after heartbreak. We are constantly swept up by promises of shortcuts, enticed by the images of instant success, only to become restless and disappointed when life does not bend to our wishes. But have you realized that life truly operates at the pace of growth, not impatience? Seneca once reminded us, "Time heals what reason cannot." Sometimes what you need most is not a clever answer, but the patience to let things unfold, to heal, and to grow quietly on their own. Patience, therefore, is not passive resignation. It is an active strength, an inner power to hold steady, to keep moving forward, even when results are still far out of sight. Strength, endurance, focus, and humility are all forged through the process of waiting and relentless effort. There is a thought-provoking story about Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. He failed in business, repeatedly lost elections, and suffered the loss of his dearest loved ones. But Lincoln never rushed to surrender to fate. It was his patience that allowed him to accumulate experience, learn to face failure with composure, so that when the opportunity finally came, he was strong and mature enough to lead the nation through its darkest days. Lincoln is living proof that patience is not wasting time, but laying a solid foundation for something greater. Haste often leads to mistakes and loss of peace. Epictetus once wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig." Just like building a bridge, each brick needs time to be laid in its right place. The human soul is the same. Every day of patience is another steady step forward. You will truly feel your strength when you learn to wait, to trust in the process, even as the world outside remains chaotic. Practicing patience does not mean sitting idly by, waiting for a miracle. It means actively accepting reality, persevering with every small step, and maintaining emotional balance when things don't go your way. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop pushing yourself to chase someone else's timeline. Each person has their own journey of growth, and as long as you remain steadfast, success will come sooner or later. Patience, in the end, is wisdom and unwavering confidence. It is believing in your own process, not letting ego or the pressure for immediate results take control. When you choose to cultivate patience, you are building for yourself enduring strength, a resilient mindset ready to embrace whatever comes, and believing that, in the right time, everything meant for you will find its way. And when you are grateful, even for the waiting days, when gratitude replaces impatience, you will discover the miracle of this journey. Don't miss the next part. Work on your gratitude every day, where we will explore together why gratitude can turn every challenge into an opportunity to grow and live more fully. Number 5. Work on your gratitude every day. Perhaps life is much like a long river, sometimes calm, sometimes rushing, and often winding through countless bends. Have you ever noticed how we tend to fix our gaze downstream, always looking toward what lies ahead? Yet we forget that right now, we are floating amidst layers upon layers of precious silt. Memories, achievements, and the simple things we already have. After each moment that tests your patience, after every lesson in waiting and staying calm through the storms, the next thing that Stoic philosophy teaches us is this: pause, look around, and practice gratitude every single day. I still remember that, for a long period, I was solely focused on what I didn't have. No matter how hard I tried, I still felt a sense of lacking achievements, lacking recognition, lacking love, and even lacking peace in my own soul. Every morning when I woke up, I felt like a mountain climber, always staring at the distant peak, rarely looking back to see how many deep valleys and rocky slopes I had already overcome. Only when faced with major upheavals, like suddenly losing my job or a loved one falling seriously ill, did I finally realize how many precious things I already possessed. Things I'd never stopped to appreciate. My health, a humble home, a simple meal, loyal friends. That was the turning point that made me start seeing life through the eyes of gratitude rather than the eyes of hunger and dissatisfaction. You see, it's so easy for us to forget what we already have and fall into the endless thirst for more and more. When you focus too much on what's missing, you lose sight of just how far you've come, how you've risen up from setbacks you once thought you'd never recover from. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Gratitude is not blind positivity. It's not tricking yourself into thinking everything is fine. It's the ability to recognize beauty even in hardship. The Stoics practiced appreciating every moment in the present, whether it's a sunrise, a fragrant cup of coffee, or a fleeting smile in the middle of a long day. Life isn't perfect, and perhaps that's why every single thing we receive is a gift. Nothing should ever be taken for granted. Try changing the phrase, "I have to," into "I get to." When we're grateful, our hearts become softer, more patient, more kind, and less afraid of loss, because we understand that everything is fragile and fleeting. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for, and each night, recall a moment that made you smile. Gratitude will change you from feeling deprived to feeling abundant, from jealousy to peace. Happiness doesn't come from having more, but from needing less. The smallest things suddenly become blessings. Before you chase the next goal, stop and ask yourself, what have I already overcome? What do I already hold in my hands? Gratitude doesn't make life easier, but it makes everything more meaningful, and meaning, that is what keeps our souls alive through all of life's upheavals. Thank you for being here, for listening and accompanying me through this important halfway point. Don't rush off just yet, because the most powerful psychological weapons are still ahead. Stay with me so that we can complete this journey together and build a strong, peaceful inner self, starting with the gratitude you hold today. Number 6, work on your inner peace every day. Inner peace is possible, and you don't need to meditate on a mountaintop or spend a fortune on a wellness retreat to find it. Taking time to relax is wonderful, but it's in the midst of everyday hustle and bustle that we need serenity the most. Maybe you've thought to yourself, only when things calm down will I truly feel at ease. But life never pauses to wait for you to settle down. Storms still come, noise still echoes, and work, responsibilities, news, and unexpected arguments, they all sweep you away like a whirlwind from the peaceful shores of your soul. All of us, at some point, have chased after a sense of peace outside ourselves, a better paying job, a quieter home, a more understanding partner, or simply hoping that no one will disturb us anymore. But as Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Stoicism also teaches that peace is not a state where everything outside is perfect, but the ability to remain calm even when everything is chaotic, collapsing, when you're criticized, treated unfairly, or facing relentless challenges. Have you noticed, the more you try to control everything outside, the more anxious and exhausted you become. When you read negative news, see a harsh comment online, or a plan is cancelled for no reason, how do you react? Do you run away, get angry, or feel like you have no control at all? It's in these very moments that true peace is not about denying your emotions, nor pretending not to care, but about learning to face, accept, and then choosing to keep your mind steady amid countless uncertainties. Ashley Davis Bush, a psychotherapist, once wrote in her book, The Little Book of Inner Peace, "I think people often seek out circumstances that help them achieve a sense of inner peace. In reality, this calm, compassion, and deep awareness truly reside within each of us. It's as if we have a deep well of peace and serenity inside. What we need to learn is how to tap into it. So what's the solution? It's to practice peace every day in the smallest of ways. Each morning, instead of rushing to check your phone, sit quietly with yourself, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, the world owes me nothing, but I owe myself peace. When someone criticizes you, pause, listen to your emotions, and choose to respond with composure. When chaos strikes, focus on what you can control, your attitude, your efforts, your gratitude, and let go of what's beyond your reach. True peace comes from discipline, the discipline to protect your inner world, not letting every opinion, argument, or storm out there disturb you. This is the strength of stillness, of patience, of choosing how you respond, instead of being swept away by circumstances. You'll see that every day you can build habits that make you stronger or weaker. Start with one small decision. Protect your peace not by trying to control the world, but by mastering your response to it. Because in the end, the ultimate value of each day isn't success or failure, but whether you manage to keep your inner peace. Number 7, work on your character. When the Bible speaks of integrity, it means having good character. And good character sets boundaries. It may not always determine what you will do, but it always decides what you will not do. Character tells you how much you are willing to pay to get what you want. When someone lacks character in a relationship, they become dangerous. But let's be honest with ourselves. Have you ever asked, "Who am I?" when no one is watching? Character is what we show in those quiet moments. No spotlight, no audience, no social media recording. It's not the crisp suit you wear in front of the world, but how you behave when you stand alone in the face of the smallest temptations, in choices that no one knows about except yourself. There is a vast gap between the image we try to build and the true character within. In a world that glorifies the spotlight, where people can easily perform virtue on social media, character is the one thing that cannot be faked. Words can be smooth and flowery, but actions are what reveal the truth. You cannot live your entire life behind a mask, because in the end, you are the one person you cannot deceive. True character is tested in the smallest choices we make every day. Do you keep your promises even when no one reminds you? Are you honest when no one will ever know? Do you dare to do the right thing even if it means taking a loss? These are the quiet moments where character is forged. No noise, no applause, just you and your conscience. The philosopher Socrates once taught, "Virtue is the only good." The question is not, how much do you want to succeed, but rather, what are you willing to give up to keep your integrity? Sticking to your principles may not always help you win the social game, but it will make you proud when you look back at yourself. Character is also the courage to stand your ground when you are not supported, to remain kind even when others choose malice, and to choose honesty when lying would be easier. Perhaps you have heard the story of Ethan, a young man who was offered a promotion on the condition that he turn a blind eye to a major mistake in the company. Ethan chose to speak the truth, knowing full well he would lose that opportunity. When asked why, he simply said, "I want to live a life my child can be proud to tell about." That loss may not have brought him an immediate reward, but in the long run, it built a foundation that nothing could shake. Because success, appearance, and reputation will eventually fade. Character is what you leave behind in the end in your work, your love, your family, in every action and word. Live in such a way that there is nothing to hide, so that if the whole world were to look at you, you could still stand tall, proud, and at peace. When your inside matches your outside, you no longer fear being hurt, judged, or lost. So, have you truly lived with your own character? If you had to share one small choice you are most proud of, what would it be? Share your story, because who knows, maybe you will inspire others with the everlasting value. Character is my legacy. Number 8, work on your silence every day. In the previous habit, we learned how to cultivate character. In this next habit, we are reminded that sometimes the strongest character is not shown through words, but through silence. Have you noticed how many times in your life have you spoken up, driven by ego, just to defend your point of view, just so no one would think you're weak? But afterwards, all that remains is exhaustion, regret for saying unnecessary things, or worse, you get caught up in endless arguments that lead nowhere. I have witnessed myself fall into that trap, just like many other grown men. In an important meeting, someone attacked me without reason. Instantly, the instinct to retaliate, to defend myself, surged within. But then I recalled the image of Warren Buffett, a man famous not only for his wealth, but for his calmness, self-control, and knowing when to remain silent. Buffett once said, "You don't have to have an opinion on every subject." And it was precisely his silence during tense situations that helped him conserve his energy and maintain focus on what truly mattered. Silence, in reality, is a form of inner strength. It is not passivity or avoidance, nor is it a sign of weakness. The wise know that in a noisy world, the more voices there are, the less things truly hold meaning. You may say less, but each word will carry far more weight. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus all emphasized, keep a calm inner state. When we are silent, we observe our inner emotional shifts more clearly. We do not react impulsively, but choose the most appropriate action. Not everything requires an explanation. Not everyone deserves your response. Let silence become a strategy, a shield that helps you conserve energy and protect your peace. Silence is also a lesson in discipline. It demands that you control yourself, resisting the urge to show off in front of others. Recall those moments you stayed silent when angry. Didn't everything feel lighter? When you're happy, silently savor the feeling before sharing it with someone. Joy seems to run deeper. When criticized, choose to respond only if it truly maintains your own peace. Silence is also the moment you listen to yourself, recognize your true emotions, and understand your direction clearly. That's when you realize, sometimes maturity comes from knowing when to speak up and when to simply smile in silence. Finally, let your actions speak louder than your words. Don't let the outside world drag you into endless arguments. Practice silence every day. Make it your spiritual weapon so that one day you'll discover the deepest peace comes from the quiet within yourself. Number 9. Work on your self-control every day. Have you ever wondered what truly sets apart those who stand strong from those who are constantly pushed around by life? Self-control, a quiet yet relentless power, is the very source of genuine freedom. You may achieve every accomplishment, attain fame and fortune, but if you cannot master your own desires and actions, you will remain a slave to yourself, to external circumstances, and to fleeting emotions. Someone once said, "The strong are not those who always win, but those who can master themselves even in the midst of storms." Do you recognize yourself in those moments when just a single insult, a hint of envy, or a burst of anger is enough to shake all the reason and values you've built? Self-control does not mean forcing yourself to become cold or indifferent to your emotions. It is about observing, choosing, and mastering your responses. When your ego wants to speak out, you choose silence. When your pride flares up, you know how to walk away to preserve your inner peace. Self-control is choosing discipline over impulsiveness, choosing wisdom over instinctive reactions. Remember the story of James, a businessman who once failed in both business and marriage. He used to believe he was simply unlucky, but in truth, James had let anger, disappointment, and the habit of seeking instant gratification control his entire life. Each time he faced rejection or hurt, he reacted fiercely, drowned himself in alcohol and meaningless pleasures to momentarily escape reality. Until one day, confronted with his greatest loss, James began to practice self-control, no longer reacting impulsively, learning to pause when emotions surged, and learning to step out of the argument room instead of screaming until the end. Gradually, he regained respect from his family, rebuilt his career, and most importantly, rediscovered peace for his soul. True strength does not lie in striking back at the world, but in mastering your inner self amid temptations and turmoil. Self-control is not just about enduring or suppressing. It is about recognizing, understanding, and then transforming your emotions into the right actions. Sometimes, the greatest strength is having the courage to walk away, not to run from something, but to protect your own peace and principles. Try practicing voluntary austerity. Reduce unnecessary indulgences. Remind yourself that happiness does not come from material things, but from the ability to master yourself. Every day, ask yourself, did I control my actions today, or did my emotions control me? This simple awareness over time will change your entire life. Bit by bit, your inner strength will be quietly built, standing firm against all the upheavals outside. The truly strong are those who master themselves, and that is a journey with no end. Once you have learned to control your actions, it's time to face the final lesson, mastering your emotions. Because emotions are your most loyal companion, they can either be your guide or the prison that confines you. Are you ready? Number 10. Work on your emotions every day. Imagine your mind as a tranquil lake. Every intense emotion that arises, anger, fear, jealousy, disappointment, is merely a stone cast onto the water's surface. The first ripples are fierce, seemingly sweeping away all the peace you have worked so hard to maintain. Yet the lake can become calm again, as long as you don't keep throwing in more stones, as long as you don't panic at every wave. Emotions work the same way. They only hold power when you allow yourself to be swept away by them, or when you try to control them through force instead of composure. Surely you've experienced such moments. An offhand remark from someone, an email that doesn't meet your expectations, or even a small mistake at work. Any of these can be enough to turn your whole day upside down. We often think suffering comes from external events, but in truth, the pain grows in our imagination and in the way we respond to the event, far more than from the event itself. The reality is, no one is immune to disappointments, betrayals, or injustice from the world. But a wise person chooses to master their emotions rather than become a victim of them. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A Stoic does not run away from emotions, nor do they suppress them to the point of numbness. They look directly at the wave of emotion, observe it, name it, and then ask, "What can I control here?" They understand that while they cannot prevent anger, fear, or jealousy from arising, they always have the power to choose their response. That is true strength, not in being cold or indifferent, but in the ability to control your actions when emotions surge. Every negative emotion can be a message, a reminder of something unfinished. Instead of judging yourself when you feel angry, use that energy to build discipline, prepare better, or improve yourself. The mindset of distinguishing between the event itself and your interpretation of it is a powerful tool to create emotional distance so that in arguments, failures, or under pressure, you can still maintain your natural calm. Of course, no one can master their emotions overnight. It is the result of thousands of moments when you pause before losing your temper, ask yourself before reacting, and choose to withdraw from negativity instead of getting swept up in it. Each of these moments, no matter how small, is a silent victory, a sign that you are truly growing. Try telling yourself, "I control my emotions. My emotions do not control me." No one can take away that inner freedom unless you give it away yourself. And day by day, little by little, you'll realize peace is not about running away from your emotions, but about mastering yourself in every emotional moment. In summary, mastering your emotions is the key to finding true peace and strength in life. Like a calm lake disturbed by stones, our minds can regain stillness if we learn to observe our feelings, understand the difference between events and our interpretations, and choose our reactions wisely. Pain and disappointment are inevitable, but we always have the power to decide how we respond. Every small victory over negative emotions is a step toward real growth and inner freedom. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever struggled with your emotions? How did you regain your calm, and what helped you most? Share your experiences in the comments below. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And make sure to check out the next videos at the end so you never miss a moment on your journey to embracing Stoic philosophy.